Welcome to your Optavia LifeBook audio channel. My name is Christie Baker and I am a certified independent Optavia health coach, and I'm so glad that you're here today. Today we're going to be diving into element 4, part 4. And in our last session we talked and introduced the concepts of stop, challenge, and choose. And if you haven't watched that video, I would highly recommend head back to the last one so you can gain an understanding of what those foundational pieces are, because we're going to be building on this throughout the rest, really the rest of the book. These are foundational. So if you could make sure you hit that video before you listen to this one, I think it would really be helpful. Before we get started, go ahead and push that little like button right down below. This channel is my gift to you. I just ask that you push that like button so we can get this out to more fellow Optavians. That would be wonderful. Let's go ahead and dive in. Today we're going to be starting on page 116, and buckle up. It's going to blow your mind. If you find yourself coming across a thought that really sparks some conversation in your head, take a moment and text that thought to yourself, so that way you have a record of it and you can share that with your coach on your next check-in call. I think that would be really valuable to your experience. All right, here we go. In just a moment, I'm going to share a chart with you, but it says we're going to show the ability of stop, challenge, choose to delay the stimulus response and activate the thinking brain to choose a healthy habit rather than the habit of disease. In our last video, we saw how we have this stimulus. Something happens to us and it triggers an emotional response. And before we learned this, it was stimulus and immediate response right after it. And that is most people where they are living in a reactive state at kind of at the subconscious level throughout their life. In this chart, we're going to see how the stimulus happens, because life is still going to happen to us. And then by placing stop, challenge, choose in between before we make a response, that helps us go from that lizard brain, which is just automatic responses. It elevates us from the Labrador brain, which is the next emotional response, where most people will live their lives, and to elevating to the last step of the human critical thinking brain. And that is really where we can make the best possible choices that help support our new healthy lifestyle. So let me show you that chart. And that is on page 116 if you want to go back and look at that. I think you will find stop, challenge, choose to be a powerful tool that helps you to start to gain more control over your world. You will find that you are no longer competing with the people around you. Instead, you are looking within to get better at being in control of your inner world. What are some of the ways that you can start using stop, challenge, choose immediately? Take a moment and text yourself. Maybe it's in your view of what's going on in the world. Maybe it's how you deal with family and friend relationships. Okay, now that you've had a chance to reflect on that, I'd like you to name 3 things that you want to stop doing immediately. I'll give you just a second for that. Write down ways that you are currently using stop, challenge, choose to increase your awareness, and also to increase your self-control. Okay, make sure to share those with your coach at your next call. When we are buying a car, they give us 2 different fuel consumption ratings. There's the city and the highway rating. Fuel consumption is erratic in the city, with all the frequent stops and goes, But once you get out on the superhighway, the engine settles into a coherent rhythm that allows fuel efficiency to increase. We want our breathing to have the same coherent, efficient rhythm. When we are emotionally upset, stressed, or overthinking, our breathing becomes shallow, chaotic, and it originates from the upper chest and neck, and over time it creates considerable wear and tear on our body. We are usually not conscious of this daily condition until we make the decision to pay attention and become aware of it when we are in an erratic state. It is your normal conditioning, which served you 10,000 years ago as part of a psychological state, stimulated once again by our emotional brain. The great news is that you can rapidly take control of this physiological chaos with your breathing. The simple awareness of your breathing can actually create physiological coherence, which allows you to rapidly regain the human thinking brain, so that you can now challenge it and choose a rational desired outcome. Changing the state of breathing can help by bringing all your physiology back into line. Much like a conductor turns the potential chaos, like a conductor turns the potential chaos of an orchestra into a beautiful harmony. The conscious control of your breathing is not unique to the Habits of Health transformational system, but it plays a central role in helping you become the dominant force in your life. Our approach is not to address every aspect of breathing, but to focus on a few key elements which will have the biggest and most rapid effect in helping you gain control. The first is for it to feel natural and not contrived. First, a constant rhythm. Establish a constant rhythm so that you have some cadence on inhalation and exhalation. 4-second count in, a 6-second count out, or use a 5 in, 5 out. Pick the ratio that feels the most natural to you, and decide what the ratio that relaxes you the most is. For my personal self, I choose a 4 and 4. 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Make sure that you use the first breath to take full command of your breathing and become fully present. Second, an even flow. Create an even flow of air so that the speed of the inhale and the exhale are the same. This ensures a constant flow rate that helps establish a smoothness to go along with the constant rhythm. And third, create a positive emotional experience. Focus on your heart or the center of your chest as you take these rhythmic, even flow breaths, and feel the positive emotional experience as the chaos starts to pass, which will give you a sense of calm and control. I would like you to practice taking over your breathing several times a day. This will prepare you to be able to respond quickly and effectively as soon as you sense that it's time to stop when any situation, event, or person starts to scramble your thinking. As soon as you sense those negative feelings, shift your physiology by initiating that first breath of control. This will help you build the habit of emotional freedom. How many times a day are you creating conscious breathing? Take a moment and describe how it's working. Before we complete this element, let's go back to the visual of playing above the line to demonstrate how powerful your ability is to look at the world from your new perspective. Now that your thinking brain is in charge, you can look at everything from the perspective of a new question. How can I learn and grow from this experience? There is no longer a need to be closed or defensive or always right. Carol Dweck has labeled this state of growth versus a fixed mindset. Her studies have shown that people with this growth mindset are much more successful and experience a far higher level of well-being. She is correct, but mine and Robert Fritz's work shows that it's really more about focusing on your desired outcome than what we think about ourselves. Those that have a fixed mindset think that they have a finite ability and everything that they do reflects on them personally, so that they spend most of their time in the drama triangle. They have a need to defend their position, and as a result, they struggle. You, on the other hand, have a creative mindset, which keeps you focused on the desired outcome. You are open and curious and have both the tools and knowledge to make the necessary adjustments to continue to improve steadily and slowly. But when something new is needed, you have built-in inventiveness to move forward, despite the obstacles that will challenge you. This will be very important as you start to write your new story and focus on creating optimal health and well-being for yourself. Once again, let's look at that above the line and below the line model. So now when you sense something is happening, you can apply stop, challenge, choose to immediately shift back above the line and move into a growth mindset. The following diagram shows how you can catch yourself and shift above the line, using challenges as a time to learn and improve. By catching yourself as you begin to drift, you prevent descent into the drama triangle, which is much more difficult to recover from. Remember, we all go below the line on occasion. It's the ability to catch yourself when you're drifting down into the reactive mode and to shift into a growth or creative mindset that makes all the difference to the majority. What this means is that you have a daily series of opportunities to develop the micro habit of stop, challenge, choose. And it is this that makes every situation an opportunity to get better. When these moments arrive, describe in your journal some examples over the next week where you started to drift, but you stopped yourself. And where you challenged why you were thinking that way, and you made a conscious effort to shift and use an outcome or behavior that is part of your new story. Make sure you review your notes or your text to this element often. Also share it with your coach and spend time discussing how these possibilities will become a new reality and helping you to become the dominant force in your life. In the next element, we will move from the powerful forces and strength you have within to take a looking at the surroundings and see how we can recruit the people, modify the places, and change the things that touch your world. At the end of every element, we always ask these 3 questions. Make sure you text yourself so you have these to refer back to. Number 1, what does this element mean to you right now? Number 2, what does this element give you an opportunity to reflect on? And lastly, what actions are you going to take as a result of this element? Thank you so much for joining me today, and stay tuned for our next video where we will be diving into element 5.